Get in, chop.
I'm a bit self-aware. Sometimes it's fucked up, but life is gonna lie. So I ain't gonna slow up. I'm on a mission to change the face of mental health. Kicking knowledge to my people, cause you know that health is wealth. It's your lucky day, cause you tuned into the greatest. Out here striving to survive. Sometimes we fake it till we make it. If your mental health is slipping, then please don't touch that dial. Go and grab a cup of tea. Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Trini LPC, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. It has been quite a year. So much is going on in my life. I've really been on this journey of healing and growth. And so today we are going to explore a really interesting topic because it's about forgiving without an apology. So I don't know about how you guys feel, but when it comes to me, it can be difficult for me to forgive someone when I don't hear an apology. And I know I work with clients all the time. They're talking about things like, oh, well, I just need closure. Closure for what? Like, what are you really needing closure on? Sometimes that's just our excuse to go back and reattach ourselves to people, places, and things that really do us no good. So if you're sitting around waiting on an apology, I want to make sure you guys stay tuned in because I really want to dig into what that actually looks like and how you can actually move forward without having someone actually apologize. So for me, my forgiveness journey, it has been interesting because I had to start forgiving people at a very young age. So you know my story, raised by my paternal great grandmother, raised by my paternal great aunt. And growing up in LaGrange, Georgia, it was interesting to say the least because I was fighting a lot of different demons. I was fighting my own inner child stuff that I was dealing with as a child, trying to figure out life and trying to figure out what my place in the world was, but also dealing with the fact that I was neglected and abandoned by my parents, not really due to any fault of their own. My parents were very young when they had me. I believe my mom was 17, my dad was 21. And I always talk all the time about how my dad had no business dealing with my mom because she was too young. But I understand it was a different time and different place. So we won't get into that. But when it comes to forgiveness with them, I've had to do a lot of work in therapy to be able to truly release it. One of the things I noticed that I really struggled with in college as I was working through navigating this new relationship with my mom. For those that are not fully familiar with that part of my story, my mom got clean on December the 4th, 1999. And she came back into my life after becoming clean for a couple of months. And one of my first positive memories during my teenage years with my mom was actually of her being very involved in taking me to get a prom dress for my junior prom, buying my prom dress, making sure that I had all the things that I needed in order to go to prom. And that was like her coming back into my life, saying, you know, that she was clean. And mind you, I had no idea that my mom was on like those type of drugs. Back in the day when people were talking about drugs, child, I was just thinking they was talking about some marijuana. I was not thinking they was talking about no damn crack or no cocaine or any of that stuff or whatever. But I learned later in life after she got clean that that was the issue. And again, at that time, you know, we had DARE in the schools. We were learning about, you know, making sure that we say no to drugs. Those type of things were prevalent. And so I'm just thinking, okay, we just talking about look green or whatever. So I always avoided drugs because of that. So learning that she had got clean, learning what that actually meant, going to NA meetings with her, that kind of changed our connection and the trajectory of our relationship. My mom was very active during those parts of my life from age 16, actually through the time that I graduated from college, and even a little bit after that. So I wasn't walking around during those years of my life as a teenager and young adult carrying this negative emotion about my mom. My mom may have felt that way at the time, because I think it was sometimes easier to think that I was holding on to things from the past instead of really kind of being frustrated about things that were going on in the present day. So my mom had a challenging time in her teenage years.
I don't know all of the stories because we don't have that type of relationship where we actually talk about all of the things. But what I do know is that my mom lost her mom when she was pregnant with my sister, and she passed away. And it was in a very traumatic way that my grandmother passed away. And I kind of, even saying that out loud, I know that it's just kind of weird when you kind of feel external to a situation. I don't really have a very close relationship with my mom's side of the family because I was raised by my dad's side of the family. And so even saying something like grandmother, it kind of feels off. I remember not even knowing that my mom's aunt, and again, that language externalized from it. I remember finding out that this person was her aunt after she died. And I was like, oh, I never knew that. So it's just the lack of connection, the lack of real connection. And I would like that, but it's, it is what it is. Things have to build and grow naturally. Anything forced is unnatural, as my friend LaShondra says. So knowing my mom's story, knowing that she lost her mom in a very traumatic way, knowing that she didn't necessarily have the support of her dad, and he actually didn't come back into her life in a way that I'm aware of until around the time that I was 16. And so I'm meeting this nigga, and I'm like, who are you? Because I was told that multiple other people were my granddad as I was growing up, because he was not a constant presence. He may have been in her life, but he definitely was not in my life or introduced to me until I was around 16 or 17 years old. So growing up where she had one parent that was dealing with whatever they were dealing with, and then she had another parent that was not present. Basically, that's my story. So my mom experienced some of what I experienced in terms of not having both of her parents in her life, because she lost her mom at such a certain age, such a young age. And then she had to learn how to navigate doing that and being a young mother. And so I can kind of understand, why some of the choices that she made may have led her to where she was at that particular point in her life. But I'm proud of my mom for being able to come out of that. I'm proud of her for being able to kick a drug habit during a time where it was very difficult. Them drugs had people fucked up in the 80s. And from what she shared about her story is, the drugs didn't really take over until after she got out of jail or prison. And that during the 90s is when it really was her thing. During the 80s, my dad was doing his thing. So I don't have a lot of negative emotion about that time. I have sadness because the little girl me didn't grow up with a mom and a dad that were in the same household, that, were able to show love in the way that I feel like little Tree deserved. But I don't really have a lot of negative emotion. My negative emotions about my mom really didn't come until later in my 20s, when there were some things when I came out. And I don't even think I actually ever officially came out to my mom, but those things kind of shaped and changed the way that our lives went. I think one of the things that for me was something that stuck with me was that learning about NA, learning about the 12 steps and all of that, going to the meetings, I don't know if I feel like my mom ever really truly made amends with me. And again, I know everybody's process is different. And I think that was one of the things that I feel like maybe I needed, but I never got it. And I still chose to forgive anyway. And so it's hard sometimes when you're having to do this thing. You see these things and you're like, okay, well, I know this is what it looks like on TV. They go and they take accountability for their behavior. I remember one of the, I think it was the first episode of This Is Us, where Randall is meeting his dad for the first time. He shows up and he says all of this stuff, and then he takes his dad back to meet his family because he just really wanted to be heard, and he really did want a relationship. So forgiving without an apology can be hard, but it can't be done. And I get that that's a fictional character and we expect things to look a certain way, but real life is messy. It's drama. And we have to learn how to accept that things in our lives aren't going to go perfectly. I'm grateful for the apologies that I have gotten, but I am equally grateful for my ability to learn how to let go of shit that just was not going to help me in my present day life. And my situation with my dad is a little bit different because I knew his story from the beginning. I knew, okay, this man was disowned by his dad. This man had a mom that ran off to Atlanta, left him out in the country. And then he ended up being in LaGrange with my grandmother that raised me. I know that these parts of his story, and I always imagine what he must have felt like, because it had to be what I felt like, dealing with having a parent that was dealing with drugs and raising other people's kids, and, having other kids that, some he was taking care of, some he wasn't. And I'm seeing the impact that this is having on me, not having him. So I know it had to be hard. I always understood why my dad turned to drugs. I never understood why he never got it together to get off of drugs, but I had to learn to forgive this man so that I wasn't walking around with hatred in my heart. Because there was a time after all the shit happened with him and my stepmom, where he ended up living back with us, there was a time where I hated this man. I wanted to hit this man over the head with a cast iron skillet. This is how much I hated this man, because I was like, you were this dad in the 80s and you showed up and you were fun. You had your life together. We went fishing and you at least gave me this little $5 allowance so I could go buy me, some Butterfinger cookies and my little 2 bags of Tom's salt and vinegar potato chips and a peach Faygo. I was able to at least do that. Get me something from Mr. Bobby's ice cream truck. And now you just laying on the floor with your life fucked up. Nigga, what are you doing? And I'm sitting here like, this is piss poor. I can't even sleep because you snoring. You on the floor. So I had to work through that forgiveness thing with him in a whole different way, because not only did you go from living in your own space with your wife and your kids and you doing this and I'm showing up and visiting, and now you sleeping on my motherfucking floor, nigga. I was really mad at this man, mad with this man. And he would lie. My dad was a lie. I always say, no offense to the Libras listening, lying ass Libras. I don't know why his ass used to lie. And that was what made me not like him, because this man would lie about every fucking thing. This man went and bought a rusty ass little Mazda, talking about he was going to fix this shit up for me. That shit sat out there for years. I bought my own motherfucking car when I was in college, because if I was waiting on this nigga to do some shit for me, I would have been waiting for fucking ever. I would still be goddamn walking. You know what I'm saying? So this man did shit actively that pissed me off. There were times where my mom maybe didn't show up for something here or there or whatever. And again, it was the addiction at the time. I don't really blame people for shit that they did when they were addicted. But the thing is, I had to learn to let go of shit that was sitting on my brain about how these people handled me. And so in my 20s, what I learned is forgiveness was not this one-time thing. It was like, oh, I forgive you. I'm done. We can be besties. That ain't how that shit work with forgiveness. It is a process that has to be done over and over. You have to choose to forgive. Just like in my marriage, I have to choose every day to wake up and continue to do the work, continue to love, continue to give, continue to cherish. I have to make a continuous effort to do that. And I ain't saying it's hard, but y'all know marriage is hard fucking work. It's not hard to do those things, but it's hard to continue to choose those things every day when people are pissing you off. And so when we talk about forgiving parents or forgiving people in your life that you never got an apology from, that's a whole different beast, because you have to make that choice consciously here. But it doesn't really change until it changes here in your heart. When you change it in your mind, that's one thing. When you change it in your heart, it takes time to take root. And when we forgive people, it's not about excusing their behavior, because people gonna always do shit that piss you off. I have to forgive my job every other fucking day, because there's always some bullshit that's going on. But I've learned to just be like, I'm not gonna get an apology for this shit, but I'm gonna just let this shit go, because they still get them checks and I like them checks. You know what I'm talking about? So we talk about those sort of things. It's not excusing the behavior. It's not forgetting. I remember that shit. I wouldn't be able to talk about it if I didn't remember it, but I'm not holding on to it. Hatred in your heart, unforgiveness in your heart, it can cause actual cardiovascular problems. I ain't got time to be holding on to no bullshit that somebody did to me in 1996. I just don't have the space for it. It's not happening. I had to let that shit go. It hurts. And that's why I'm doing the work of EMDR right now, because I'm trying to really, like, anything that's residual, that shit got to come up out of me, because I'm not about to go into the rest of my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s holding on to shit that happened in the 90s, in the 1900s, as y'all say. So you have to be able to be grounded in your reality. Does this person deserve your forgiveness? Maybe not. I don't know. They may or may not deserve your forgiveness, but you have to let it go. One of the greatest lessons that I learned around forgiveness actually came from Tyler Perry's stage plays, where he would talk about forgiveness. Medea would get in there and she was like, you got to let that shit go. Forgiveness is not for you, for them. It's for you. You holding on to this shit and these people not even thinking about you. I remember when I was working at Center for Creative Growth back in the early 2000s, and it was this one boy that was always, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. Boy, if you get the fuck out of my face, I don't care about you being mad at me. You mad at me. You sitting at the group home, mad as hell, and I'm at home. I wasn't, steak and no lobster at that time, but I'm at home eating this damn spaghetti. I done went and got me some damn kiku. I done went and got me some goddamn bonsai, and I'm eating this damn fried rice, and you mad at me at the group home because I said some shit that pissed you off. Boy, get the fuck out of my face. And I know that's probably, I don't know what this little boy is. I remember his name, but obviously I'm not going to say it due to HIPAA. But this boy probably still think about Miss Sandtrice saying, I don't care about you being mad. But because I don't nobody care about you being mad. Don't nobody care about you being sad. Don't nobody care about none of that shit but you. So you have to let that shit go for you. And that was a lesson I learned through Medea's plays. Like, hey, I'm not about to be walking around with all this unforgiveness in my heart. That shit ain't gonna do nothing but cause me to have a heart attack. And baby, I got no stress outside of other people and they shit. So I'm not walking around holding grudges against my parents. I'm not walking around holding grudges against anybody. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the time. I remember having to go through the process of forgiving one of the people that I used to deal with, an ex, for the shit that they put me through. And I went through this whole damn forgiveness process of letting go of that shit and being like, oh, okay, how are things going in your current? Like trying to build some type of like decent communication. Not that we need to be friends, but I went through that forgiveness process because I was like, I can't hold on to this shit. I don't want nobody to die. And I'm sitting here holding on to unforgiveness about them. I just cannot do it. And so I made, my amends. I let that shit go. And this bitch still went and did some dumb shit and fucked with my sister. So, it's just kind of like some people, you have to just leave them where the fuck they are. I went back through therapy. I worked back through that shit and I forgave that bitch again without an apology. So it can be done. I'm living proof that it can be done. But if you spend your time waiting for an apology, you're going to be waiting for a long time from some people. Now, you are sometimes going to experience things where it's like, oh, I'm surprised. I really didn't expect that person to take accountability, because sometimes people can do. The most recent thing that I'm going to be real with y'all. It wasn't that I couldn't let it go without an apology. It was that you can't have access to me without an apology. And I think that that's different, because of accepting an apology that you never got and forgiving someone for an apology that you never got, like, that is a mental choice that you make. But that does not mean that you have to let these people back in your lives. It does not mean that they still can regain access to you. I remember back, I think it was 2022, because I hadn't even turned 40 at the time. My mama said some shit that pissed me off mid text message. I blocked her ass so damn fast, because what you not gonna do is come all the way up in here texting the phone that I paid the bill for, pissing me the fuck off, right? So I said what I said. She said what the fuck she said, and I blocked her ass. And she stayed blocked until my dad went into the hospital in February of 2024. I had no contact with her during this time period, not because she went to prison when I was a kid and she left me to have a traumatic upbringing that I was raised in, not because of that, but because of disrespect in my present day life, because Sandtrice Russell in real life ain't taking that shit. So I blocked the fuck out of her. And I was not going to, even though I reopened the door so that she could communicate with me and I could communicate things that were going on with my dad at the time, I still was not going to engage in this cordial communication, acting like we cool, if you hadn't owned your shit. And so she reached out to me on IG. I don't know how she got through on IG because I had her ass blocked on TikTok, every damn thing. I was like, no access. No access. If you don't accept my wife, no fucking access for you. So I ain't hating on you, but you're not about to be in my holies of holies without owning your shit. And so she reached out. It was something she had saw on, I think it was like Kirk Franklin and his mom, some shit that I felt like was irrelevant as fuck to us, but it resonated with her. She reached out, and I'm not an evil person, y'all. Like, I love people. I don't like people. I love people. So I read her message. I had already seen the video floating around, and I said what I said. And I was like, you know what? I can't really move on without an apology. And so she's like, she don't even remember what she did. And I had the screenshot, because baby, you already know me. I had sent this shit to all my friends. Like, this motherfucker got me fucked up, don't they? And me and my friends have talked about that for a damn, feel like 2 years, year and a half at least, or whatever. Like, she really sent this shit to you? She really said this shit to you? Did she not know you? And no, she didn't. She didn't fucking know me. Because the thing you have to understand about being my mom is a fucking Aries. I am a Sagittarius, baby. And I know how to let my fire simmer. And I think she does too, to an extent. But that day she didn't know how to let that shit simmer. And baby, I ain't gonna match energy. I'm gonna leave the room. So I said what I said. I sent her the screenshots though, so that she could actually give an actual apology that spoke to what she said, why she said it, and owning her shit. And I'm going to get into all of what she said. But that was an occasion where I didn't need an apology to forgive, but I needed that apology in order for you to have access to my life. And I opened up the access. Me and my therapist have been talking about it for months. Like, hey, are you going to open the door all the way? You going to crack that motherfucker? And I was like, I said, I can crack that bitch or whatever. I ain't going to just re-block her because we done put my dad in the ground. But I ain't going to get no all access pass to this because, baby, this precious cargo right here, you're not just going to come all up, end up and through this without at least acknowledging, that the shit that you said was fucked up, And I talk to my sister sometimes about the shit that they go through. And I just be like, my sister couldn't be me. I love you, sis, but I want you to stand up for your inner child. If you're listening to this, I want you to stand up for your inner child. That shit is cathartic than a motherfucker. But sometimes we need that apology for the access, but not for the forgiveness piece. Because, baby, listen, without that, it wasn't going to happen. And I've tried in new ways to try to develop a real relationship with my mom, because I felt like, even though I feel like during the years from when she got clean, when I was 16 to my college years, I feel like we were okay. We had one moment in college where she tried to get jiggy with me and threatened me. And I had to tell her she was going to go to Carroll County jail if she came up there and thought about putting her hand on me, if she was going to go to jail. So we had that one little moment where she decided she wanted to get jiggy. And other than that, we was good. Like I feel like we had a good relationship then. Did we really know each other? No, because I was going through what I was going through. I never came out to my mom when I had a girlfriend in college. I came out to my grandmother and my aunt. There were just certain things that I didn't share or express because I don't think we talked like that. But it was like, she was very supportive. I say this shit loudly. I would not have got through college without my mom. We ain't had no damn car. How the fuck was I going to get back and forth from Carrollton to LaGrange? I would not. And then when I bought my own car, when shit happened, I needed to get her car. So she was definitely there, and a big part of me being able to graduate college, even though she wasn't necessarily a part of the upbringing and the rearing that helped me get into college. But baby, that money and that gas, I ain't getting her no gas money. This lady took me back and forth almost every weekend my first year. I literally would never take that away from her. But we had some work to do later on, because I feel like even now, I want a real relationship. I don't want the superficial, let's post shit on Facebook and look cute and all of that. And I know this episode going real left right now, but I don't want that superficial shit. Like, I want to know, what are you afraid of? What, I just want to know your favorite color. What are you afraid of? Relationships about the depth. I mean, she will tell me things like, oh, about my dad and stuff like that or whatever. But I want to know about you, real relationships. And I've done subtle things to kind of invite her into my space, like inviting her out to hang out with me and some of my colleagues and some of my friends, because, they know Sandtrice, they know Tree in present day, not the version of Tree that was a little girl, or that was this college student, or that was this early adult trying to figure out life. They know this grown ass motherfucking woman Tree that shows up in a completely different way. And so I'd love for her to know that version of me. And I mean, it's easy because I'm an open fucking book, but it's not always easy for other people to be that vulnerable. But doing things like that to invite her into my space, that is my bid, as Alex says, for, and I get it. It comes from, what's his name? Gottman. That's my bid for it to be able to develop a deeper connection, because I don't desire superficial relationships at this point in my life. If it ain't real, baby, you can keep it. And there ain't no forgiveness required with that. Like, I don't need to forgive you for that. I'm not mad about it. We can have a good relationship, or we don't have to have a good relationship. It's the same way right now with my sister. And I think that that's the piece of forgiveness that I'm really, really working on right now, aside from what I just worked through with a childhood, friend's mom, which is with my sister. I attempted to kind of reconcile some things with her and gain clarity for why she got me so fucked up. And my sister's also a fire sign. She's a Leo, and she, shuts down. I actually talked to one of my Leo friends before I sent this message to her back in December. And, my friend was like, girl, if she don't care, she just don't fucking care. And then you can say to her to make her care. So you might as well wrap that shit up or get a lawyer. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let a motherfucker bring me out of character. So with my sister, I had to decide to, one, let her go, but two, go ahead and forgive her for who she is and her character as a person. So I'm cool with it now. I'm not walking around hating her. But again, she can't have access to me. And she don't want access to me. For some reason, the bitch don't like me. And that's cool too. And no, I'm not going to delete or edit out this part of the episode, because it's real. It is what it is. If you can't open your fucking mouth to say what it is, then it is what it is. So I let you go in peace. But that's the hard thing. It's hard sometimes to let go of shit when a motherfucker don't even acknowledge what you said. So forgiveness, it can feel unfair. It can feel like, why do I have to be the one always being the bigger person? I used to feel like that all the time. But baby, listen, I might have to take hydroxyzine or a little something else from time to time to get some sleep. But baby, when I get to sleep, I ain't think about nobody that I got hate towards. I ain't think about no drama. I am thinking about peaceful sleep. I'm thinking about my next trip. I'm thinking about my next concert. I'm thinking about living motherfucking life on my own terms, because I deserve it. Little Tree went through a lot of shit so that Big Tree could show the fuck up for herself and continue to thrive. And so I'm not doing that. When we let go of that shit, when we don't hold on to that stuff, we reclaim our power. When I tell you, from the time that my dad passed away to, I want to say it was May of 2024, when we got the whole insurance thing going on with my dad, and we found out, like, okay, they sent the money to my sister and these books and stuff like that. Like, when we found out that, I held on to that shit. I went on this girl's birthday trip with her. I ain't say nothing to her because I'm tiptoeing around her, because I made her cry one time a couple years ago. And so I'm now tiptoeing around her. And had I just been bold enough to just be like, you know what? I don't like this shit that you did, I probably could have not walked around with all of this uneasiness within me, because I'm not saying the things that need to be said. And also because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to make shit about me. I didn't want to make it about anything else. It wasn't really until my brother started talking about the process where he really got concerned. That's when I was like, okay, look, listen, this is a problem. We feel some type of way. And that's when I vocalized it. And again, oh, well, I got all this other stuff going on. I'm not going to put this stress on me. You don't give a fuck. And now that I know you don't give a fuck, I can move on. So peace and love to her. But back to y'all, I think that it's really important to be able to give somebody the gift of goodbye and also forgive them while they're on their way out, because you don't want to be up at night. I don't want to be up at night. Ain't nobody got time for all that stress. Peace doesn't come from people understanding you, acknowledging you. It comes from your internal choice to choose you and your mental health and your happiness over all of that other shit. So if you're listening and you're struggling with forgiveness, just know that you may never get that apology, but you don't need closure. What you need to do is the work for yourself. You need to process through it. You need a journal. You might need to go sit on somebody's couch and do some processing, EMDR, whatever you need to do to let it go. Because I don't want to get super spiritual or dumb deep, but we are supposed to forgive. It's biblical. We should be forgiving our people, 70 times 7. And I'm like, hell, I ain't even gonna give you that many times to piss me off. I'll forgive you and let you go, baby, because there is no holding on to something that is dead. That's dead relationships. That's dead friendships. That's dead jobs. If it's dead, let it go. Give yourself peace. It's a gift. Being able to sleep without knowing that you ain't wrong nobody, knowing that you ain't hate nobody, knowing that you ain't holding disappointment and regret from somebody and unforgiveness. Baby, that sleep be good, baby. I be snoring. And EMDR sleep is different. I don't know what it is about that reprocessing with them damn tappers or lights or whatever y'all do it with, but baby, that shit hit different. I sleep good when I do sleep. And I get my 8 hours because I can't walk around letting you take me out of character. It's just not worth it. So figure out if there's anybody that you're holding unforgiveness for. I want you right now to go ahead, write out a letter of everything that you want to say to that person. You ain't got to give it to them or nothing, but I want you to write that motherfucker out. And then I want you to burn that bitch. And I want you to release that anger, that frustration, that sadness, that resentment, that unforgiveness. I want you to release that shit with the ashes and free yourself. I had to do that. Even after my dad has passed away, I couldn't talk to the man and be like, nigga, you fucked me up with this stupid shit you did. I couldn't talk to him. But I did write him a letter, and I burnt that shit in the backyard with my wife, and I released that shit. Because why the hell am I holding resentment towards somebody who is not even here? That man done lived his life. Unfortunately, he was taken out in a real fucked up way. And I had to let that shit go too. That nigga that did what he did, and that nigga know what he did. So I just want y'all to be clear that life is gonna life. People gonna disappoint you every which way. But you have a choice of how you move after they did what they did to you. You can hold on to it, or you can be free and let it go. So make sure you guys keep watching Self-Aware Enough the podcast. We're going to be here all season talking about real shit, not that sugar-coated stuff. I'm probably going to get banned for saying nigga as many times as I did during this episode, but I can't come up in here buttoned up and doing some shit. Like I gotta be fully me. And not that I haven't been me in other seasons, but I can't put on that professional shit. That's why I got my shades on. I don't give a fuck. I'm not about to be this version of me that other people feel like they need from a therapist. And I feel like my social worker sisters and brothers, yeah, them motherfuckers free. I be over here worried about the motherfucking Georgia Composite Board coming for my damn license. And I'm not about to live in that bondage. You're not going to bond me to a license or what I can and can't say. Or if you going to pull my fucking license, fuck you. You're not doing it. And I forgive you too. But y'all be sure to follow me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and take care of your motherfucking mental health.
I'm a bit self-aware. Sometimes it's fucked up, but life is gonna lie. So I ain't gonna slow up. I'm on a mission to change the face of mental health. Kicking knowledge to my people, cause you know that health is wealth. It's your lucky